Hi, guys. Welcome back. I'm here with, my name is Billy Alvaro, and I'm here with Brian Sleezer, who owns, what do you own, Brian? You have a shop called?
It's an automotive repair business in Bohemia. It's called Bohemia Auto Care.
You changed the name over because a couple of years back it was something different.
Yeah, we used to be a transmission specialist. We were a Lee Miles franchise, and about 3.5 years ago, we went independent, and we're now Bohemia Auto Care.
Congratulations, brother. Very good. So I met Brian because I actually met your dad by accident. Me and your dad were in one of the same networking groups, and your dad, exceptional guy. Like him and me and Richie hit it off big time, and we just used to hang out and shoot the shit. And he picked my brain because he was really into the whole investment side of the real estate, and he entrusted me. And your dad was one of the. I had about a half dozen guys that were very tough at the beginning to do business with because your dad went up my ass with a proctologist exam and was like checking everything out. And I value that because I'm transparent, right? But he went through and really checked me out in a detailed way.
Very, very detail oriented. I would say you two are very similar guys, without a doubt. And that's going back a solid 10 years now. Yes. Very, very
10 years ago. Time. How many years ago did your dad pass? It's been about 6 now?
2016. December of 16.
So 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. 3.5, 4 years ago.
We've been working together, obviously, the whole time he was here and since, and it's really been seamless between the two. You know, he was more of the point man, obviously, when he was around, but I stepped into those shoes as best as possible, and we've been working together since.
It's been a good relationship. Your dad, when he was going through his process, you told me something afterwards that he said to you when he was coming to his, to his end, and he said, what did he say to you about investing with Billy? Do you remember that?
Make sure that we continue to do it, to keep that relationship open and working for the future, unending. He said to make sure we stayed in contact and to continue working with Billy. It was very descriptive and specific about that, for sure. And
gives me chills thinking about it.
I listened to him, not that I didn't intend to, but he was very clear on that, and I'm very happy that we have listened and continue to do business.
It's been a great run. Me and your dad got along great. You and I get along good. I mean, you're almost a spitting image of your dad. Not 100% alike. He was a little bit more. He was on his shit. I mean, Brian, that man. What's that?
One of a kind.
One of a kind.
Very, very, very detail oriented, which worked very well for him, clearly.
Well, that's why he was, and you are following in his tracks, have a successful company, because you guys do your due diligence and you really check everything out. And that brings me now to doing business with me. Like, I know your dad set this whole thing up, but in the last 4.5, 5 years since you took his position and you've been working with us, I just want honest and open feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, on you entrusting your money with me in these real estate deals. What's it been like?
Very stress-free, very hands-off, really, just really a lot of basically paperwork. I wouldn't even say a lot of paperwork, minimal paperwork. And as far as bad and ugly, there really has been none. Only one deal didn't go exactly as planned, but we didn't affect us in the slightest. It truly, in any way, at the end of the day, that was the worst case.
That was the Brooklyn deal, right?
Yeah, and that was the only problem was a little bit longer than expected and a couple funny stories from it. Other than that, still same deal at the end of the day. So it really made no difference. And then besides that, that was the only hiccup. And again, to even call it a hiccup is an exaggeration. It's been seamless. There's never been a problem. The trust is there. You can talk openly. There's no craziness with terms over your head or trying to be spoken down to. You're on a level playing field, and you can talk openly and honestly, and what you hear is what you get, and what you say is what happens, which when you're talking in money and investment, you really can't ask for more than that. It's incredible.
That's important to hear, dude, because I say it all the time. My words and my actions are always one and the same. I'm never going to say one thing and do something else. And like that deal in Brooklyn, I had to come to you and deliver bad news. Not that you were going to suffer, not that you were having 1 cent less than what you were going to get. It was just taking longer, and the deal went sideways. But you came out 100% whole. Yeah. You broke up for a second.
We had there was no fault on anybody on your side at all. And again, we had the paperwork backed up and we had all the guarantees in place to make sure that even though the deal went sideways, we were not harmed in any way. And again, it was just amazing. Like I said, knowing what you went through with that whole deal and the fact that we were still able to make a profit, it was great.
Yeah, it was. I really should do a case study on that deal, because that was one that for the books. I mean, that was absolutely crazy how we had people squatting in the house. The one guy was in jail. We evicted him from jail. They sued me to try to get back into the property. There were guns and drugs and gangsters, and it was. I had to actually hire bodyguards to take me to court. That's how crazy it got.
I remember that part of it, that when you went to court, you literally had to have, muscle with you. And it's just, again, for us, it was just funny stories, luckily, and we still wound up ahead of the game. So it's just, and that's something that we even impress upon people that we speak to, family and friends about it, trying to get them involved, is that even in the worst case, which that was by far the worst case, everything else was literally seamless. You still don't lose. And it's great. Very rarely, where else do you see that? Where else do you hear that?
Right. Where else could you put your money? Know that even if the deal goes sideways, you're going to come out 100% whole on your principal, plus get the interest that you were supposed to get on the back end. You're still going to get it. And that's a lot of guys and women out there, Brian, they don't get that. Like, I don't know if you invest in stocks or if you invest in mutual funds, but that market is very cyclical. And so you could have $200,000 invested today, and in 2 months, it could be worth $150,000. And so with me, you guys put in $200,000 into a deal that goes on one property in 6 months, 12 months, whenever that deal sells, and you get your principal back plus your interest. If I lose money, you still make your money. And that's the one thing that I need to stress to people out there, that you're guaranteed your return, because you're not coming in on the deal as a partner where you're sharing in profit loss. You're coming in as an investor, which is the smartest way to do it. And you have what's called a preferential rate. You're guaranteed your rate, regardless of how bad or how good that deal does.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're locked in, you're guaranteed. It's great. Again, and that was the only hiccup there. Other than that, everything else was basically, hey, the check is ready, or are you ready to get involved with this next one? Just could not be happier. It's been very, very great.
Do you guys invest in stocks or mutual funds or bonds or anything like that?
I used to, no longer. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, so we have an account for her in mutual funds. But other than that, none. Literally none.
Got it. And your mom's put a lot of faith in me as well. I know she has some money invested with us, and the same thing. I mean, you guys came to the business barbecue, and you guys are hanging out. It's like you're all family with us, because it's important. So if somebody out there, Brian, was considering investing with Billy Alvaro, Max Returns, and they didn't know who I was, and they're like, look, why would I want to give over? Why would I trust you with $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, it sounds corny, but you can't lose. I mean, you literally cannot lose. It just doesn't. There's no way, because legally you're backed up. Everything's in writing. Everything's in black and white. And you get what you're told, and nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. It's very stress-free. I really can't speak enough about it. You don't have to worry about any turns, or when the news goes sideways that something else is going to happen, or all of a sudden, overnight you lose half your portfolio. It right. Truly is. It's a guarantee. There's really no downside. There hasn't been one, and I don't anticipate there being one, and it's just great.
Yeah, you're saying what a lot of people say. It allows them to sleep at night knowing that regardless of what goes on with the market, they're going to get a return on the capital. And, one of the things I say to even my family, because listen, we have outside investors, but I have a lot of family and friends that invest with me. Like, they're entrusting their dollars with me. And my number one goal, before I give them a high fat return, my number one goal is capital preservation. That means I don't want them to ever lose not one nickel of their original investment. That's rule number one that I face. And then rule number two is I want to make sure I get them the absolute highest return I could get them for the investment vehicle that they're going into. Some people are in which you're not. You do a lot of the fix and flip and stuff, but some people are in single family rentals or multifamily rentals where they're getting a guaranteed return every month and they get cash flow every month. A lot of the older folks like that. A lot of the younger guys, they want to be able to put their money in, put it to work, make the return, take it out, and then immediately put their money right back into another deal. And that's what you're doing. Your dad started with me that way, and that's the way you're doing it.
Yep, no, exactly. And it's just, you cannot lose. I mean, it's a guaranteed thing. You're not going to lose $1. You're only going to make money. I mean, it's truly a no-brainer. And once you do one, I think it kind of gets all whatever butterflies or anything you may have in your stomach or whatever, thoughts or whatever the case may be, second thoughts, it just, once you do one, you're guaranteed to continue. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And this is not like a new relationship for us. You, myself and your dad, 10 years ago, yeah. You came into the picture about 4.5 years ago.
I think there was those BNI groups, literally, it was either 09, 010 range when that all started. It's been steady throughout, it's a solid 10 years, if not a little bit longer. Yeah. Very long.
Listen, I just want to thank you and your family for entrusting your portfolio to me. I know it wasn't easy in the beginning to hand that over. I know you guys had trepidations, but I'm glad that I was able to earn your trust, Brian. I'm glad that I'm able to give you guys the returns we're giving you consistently. And I'm glad that when that deal went sideways in Brooklyn, that you guys came out 100% whole.
Yeah, I would say I agree with all of that. I can definitely, like I said, the best part is we came out with a couple funny stories, but other than that, it was great, man. And just no complaints, and looking forward to continuing it in the future. Really are.
Awesome, brother. Listen, I appreciate you. I appreciate your family. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys are safe with the COVID, brother, and I will be back in touch.
You got it. Thank you. Be well.